And so today, for those of you who are joining us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, we're going to talk about EMFs. EMFs are electromagnetic frequencies with Elyn Jacobs, cancer coach, Elyn Jacobs. And so fasten your seatbelt and let's start dancing because we're going to learn and grow together. You got that? You got the share?
I got it. I was just typing it in.
Awesome. Everybody who's watching, let's do the dance. Dance like nobody's watching. There you go, Ellen. I can just picture people dancing with me, you know.
It's a good way to start the day.
Brings me joy.
This is the place to
start the day. It's either that or I dance on my trampoline. You know.
There we go. Yes, I'm going to do a show on my rebounder one day.
At whenyouneedafriend.com.
Yeah, but then you'll definitely have the hair going up.
Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who've been listening to the show for a long time, or perhaps maybe you just started listening yesterday, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. But if this is the first time that you're listening to the show, or maybe watching us on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, just know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place you can go to when you need a friend. And it is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, and for those of you who want to go to Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/Lillian's radio show, where you get the on and off the air. You get the behind the scenes show as well as the show on the air, on the radio. And I hope that you feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. So I'm going to just start saying it right now off the bat. Welcome to our classroom. This is where we learn and grow together. And we're learning a new truth. These are truths that we kind of have been taught to ignore. And, you know, today we're going to talk about electromagnetic frequencies, which are frequently called EMFs. Electromagnetic frequencies. And so our cell phones have become an extension of our body. Truly, the first thing I was picking up in the morning was my cell phone. I'm going to start to work, but I have made a commitment that that is going to be the last thing I pick up. Meditation. Last night we had a wonderful time with Jason Stevenson and our private Heal Tribe, and we learned the importance of setting ourselves up for successful mindfulness. And so our cell phones have become an extension of our body, even though there have been reports that cell phones promote these EMFs. They emit these EMFs. And they're harmful to our body. But it's not just our cell phone. There's other things that we are doing to ourselves to basically control our cells in our body. And so many of us are not feeling optimal. And we're trying to blame certain things. Well, could it be the EMFs? Now, there are many controversial reports stating that EMFs or the cell phones cause brain tumors. That's been, people say it's been debunked. There have been other problems that could cause, you know, from EMF, that there's another report that says, oh, that's been debunked. But what is the truth? What do we need to know? Because everything that you hear on this show has become my truth, but I don't push that on you. If you're listening and it resonates with you, great. Look into it. Make it your truth. Research it like I have. But if it doesn't make sense to you, move on. Move on. And maybe someday you will come back to this because the seed has been planted. So I asked beautiful Elyn Jacobs. She's a cancer coach, Elyn Jacobs, and you can find her at elynjacobs.com, to bring back, because this is an important topic, because they say that it could cause cancer as well. So I asked her to share, to come on the show to share her wisdom about EMFs and why she's passionate to share this information and how we can protect ourselves so that we can live the life that we want. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Elyn Jacobs is here to do just that. Welcome back, Elyn, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you, Lily. It's great to be on here again with you.
Now share a little bit about your background so people that are listening to you for the first time can fall in love with you just like I have.
So I was first diagnosed with cancer in 2007 and diagnosed in 2014. And in between there, I had found, my own path, knowing that there was far more to know about cancer than just what you were going to hear from an oncologist. So I did tremendous amount of research. I think I've got an entire library full of books, and I researched papers online and found every kind of natural out there and food that you could do to prevent cancer. Then when I was re-diagnosed, I realized I had missed the entire section on emotional traumas and all of those kind of connections to cancer. So then I spent the next 9 months to a year getting rid of all those problems, and now I have absolutely nothing going on. So perfectly healthy. But during that time, EMFs was one of those things that came up as a potential source of cancer-causing agents. And just, some people feel EMFs. They are bothering them. The rest of us are oblivious. We blow dry our hair, we got our clock radios, and we don't know that anything's going on. And I do mean that, blow dry your hair. Hair dryers are one of the biggest, emitters of EMFs. Your refrigerator, standing near a microwave, anything plugged in, your clock radio should never be within 6 feet at least your bed. And certainly.
Okay, so we are going to learn all about protection. And Elyn Jacobs, thank you so much that you're taking the time to keep us aware. This is not about fear. This is about empowerment. And we're going to continue our conversation with Elyn Jacobs when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. And off the air, you can join us at facebook.com, Lillian's Radio Show, /Lillian's Radio Show. And we'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so I am so grateful. Let me see who's joined us, because I don't know who is joining us unless you type something in or send a little heart or give us some love. So right now, if you can just tell us where you're from, where are you listening from, and how you heard about the show. Are you following Elyn? If you've known, and by the way, her name is spelled ELYN. So it's elynjacobs.com. And if you are a subscriber to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, you would have her link right to from the blog to her link. So, okay, so Elyn, hi. Elyn, where are you listening from?
I'm listening from New York City.
Awesome. How's the weather up there, by the way?
It's stunning and beautiful. I don't know the temperature because I haven't been outside yet, but it's pretty cold. But today's supposed to go up to 59 compared to 24, so I like that.
Wow. So today is, yesterday was 85 degrees, and I was speaking to someone from Ohio yesterday, and he was saying how it's very treacherous out there, and how 2 or 3 of their employees didn't make it in because they had car accidents, and it's just so horrendous. And I'm thinking, oh my, I'm so sorry to tell you, but it's 85 degrees. It was 84, and then it just clicked up to 85 when I was saying that. I said, oh, no, it's 85. And so he goes, I don't know how you can live with that. Okay, so Dawn is a fan of Elyn. So thank you so much, Dawn, for joining us.
I see you there. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. And so for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, you get a private show with Elyn as well. And later on, we're going to have Del Billis from Liberty Health Share, who the last time Elyn was with us, he was also with us. And so for those of you who want to ask Elyn a question, write it on the comments section. And if you're sending me a private message that you don't want anybody to know that this is your question, you can send it to me on instant message or messenger, and then write on the comment, send you a private message. I don't know. Or you can text me at 407-373-5959. Anyway, I would love to hear from you, where you're from. So come out from wherever you are.
Or leave her a voicemail.
There we go.
407.
Now we get to dive in.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, or shall I call it the Lillian McDermott classroom, where we all learn together. And today's teacher is Elyn Jacobs. She's a cancer coach. So for those of you who need someone to give you hope and show you that you can heal your body, then you can reach out to her. And if you are a subscriber, then you have the link already, because in my blog, I always link all my guests. So if you haven't subscribed to whenyouneedafriend.com, it's time to do so. So Elyn, we're going to talk about electromagnetic frequencies. And so let's talk about what they are and why would it be in a blow dryer?
Well, anything that is plugged in is going to emit EMFs. So without getting very scientific, these fields emit from here. So you can figure, like, those bars that you see on pictures and things like that, that kind of emit from these devices. And your hair dryer is about as close as you're going to get to your head, right? So here you are blow drying and you're holding it and you're holding it. So you're emitting all of these very strong fields, electromagnetic fields. And it's the same thing as if you were to put a cell phone against your head, right? So these are close proximity. So when we're talking about EMFs, we're talking about what they can do to our body. So what do? They change our DNA. They affect our cells. They initiate inflammation. We know that inflammation is tied to many diseases. And, it's doctors know this. Scientists know this, but of course there's somebody who always say it doesn't happen. But I remember diagnosed and they said, well, you could have a lumpectomy, but that comes with radiation, and that radiation causes cancer. So right then and there they were telling me, oh, by the way, radiotherapy for breast cancer or any other cancer is subjecting you to a tremendous radiation that could end up giving you further cancer. So big shock, right? And it can actually make cancer more aggressive for the same reason. So we know that there's a problem, and the EMFs cause free radicals, oxidative damage, which means, you link it to heart disease. You can link it to pretty much anything out there. And scientists have. But again, there's always going to be the person who says, yeah, but people aren't dying from it. But remember that, when I was a kid, we didn't have all of these things. Young kids didn't dry their hair. We certainly didn't have cell phones.
Yes.
Have laptops. We didn't have a lot of these devices. And as we're seeing cancer rates soar, we have to start thinking about, is there a role that they play? It's pretty strong. So even if you don't believe it, there's no harm in saying, okay, I can put that cell phone away from my body. I can put that clock radio across the room. So there's small steps that we can take. But you get on the subway, everybody on that subway or that bus has their cell phone. And everywhere you go, the kids in school are surrounded by Wi-Fi. Today we're going to, as Lily said, we're going to talk about things that we can do to protect ourselves on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But if it turns out in 20 years we didn't need to, there's no harm. But we can't go back and do it over if they find definitively, sort of like smoking cigarettes. They knew it was dangerous, but it took years to prove everybody that it was. So some of the things that we can do are very simple.
But before we go forward, I have some questions for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So EMFs are electromagnetic frequencies, and they come from our socket. They come from, our phones. This is just anything that's computerized emits this frequency because why?
Well, that's a little above my pay grade, but
okay.
I'm not a scientist, but I do know that anything that is Wi-Fi, anything that is not hardwired in with your computer. So if you have a laptop like mine, I have it hardwired as opposed to just using Wi-Fi for mine.
Correct. My computer's hardwired as well.
Right. So you want it hardwired. And then, I was surprised. I walked around my house with a little EMF reader. Yes. And you go by your refrigerator, you go by your everything, and you could see the difference. It goes low, and then all of a sudden the thing goes crazy when you're near these devices. And so we, beyond the science, and I could read you the science, but that's what the scientists are for. And I think you're going to have one on next week who could
yes.
the way that goes.
Yeah.
So what I've read and what I've heard from Lloyd Burrell and a few other experts like Dr. Devra Davis, who she was the first person that introduced me to it. And I heard her speak a number of years ago at the Integrative Conference in New York City. And I will tell you that all 2,000 people in that room, their jaws hit the ground, their laptops that were sitting on their laps were very quietly moved to the floor. The cell phones were moved because she put on that screen such compelling evidence of how these EMFs were damaging our body, showing us what it does to the cells, that it was just, I mean, these doctors were like, how could I not know this? But it really was interesting to see, well, very slowly, everything was moving away from the people. They didn't want it on their laps anywhere near them.
Yes.
Her book sold out at that conference. So it was really,
well, that's the thing. Dr. Lee Cowden was on my show yesterday, and he is a big, no EMFs, and cover your phones and different things that we're going to be talking about later about with EMS. But one of the last conference that he did, we had I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Doug Kaufman. Doug Kaufman talked about EMFs and how no, maybe it wasn't him, but they did images of children on with now children's phones. Now they're getting phones, and how it's penetrating their brain when they're like pretending they're talking, or they're looking at videos, and so it's really affecting all of us. And so we need to really pay attention. Now there's another thing that you said, that 20 years from now, we don't know if we need to be protected on it, but now we're being told to protect ourselves. Many are saying this is fear mongering. We don't need to protect ourselves from EMFs. It's no big deal. So the evidence that was shared, can you share a little bit of the evidence that was so compelling? Yes.
Yeah. Deborah Davis showed us pictures of women who had carried their cell phones either in their lap in the car, in their bras, and they found cancerous things in the shape of the phone in those places.
Yes.
And she also did show us, where the changes in the DNA, they go in different colors on these screens, how they show it to you, but how much these EMFs change our DNA, change our cells. And it was really amazing. And she was even telling funny stories. She said, in I think it was Israel, they have over the urinals, men, take your cell phones out of your pocket to protect our future generations, meaning to be infertile if you continue to carry that cell phone in your pocket.
Yes. Yes, there was a young man who was trying to conceive, and he used to drive with his cell phone between his legs so that he could, answer calls, on a speakerphone or whatever it was that he was doing, but he always kept it between his legs. And I mentioned it to him. I said, hey, why don't you just move that away from your legs and just put it somewhere else? And I think the following month he was able to conceive. There was really, it's amazing the little tweaks that we do that can help us, but we're not aware. We don't know what we don't know. So cell phones, if women who put it in their bras, I've seen those images as well. It's compelling. It's very compelling, and that's why we're doing the show. So now let's take EMFs from a cell phone, which you can say, okay, well, that makes sense. Now you're talking about electrical. So how does the plug into for our blow dryer? Are there blow dryers that we could buy that have that stop, like the Bluetooths, like the earphones? All those things are affecting us. And so I've changed my earphones, but it's really hard to adjust to the quality of sound. So how can we start adjusting ourselves?
There's little simple things you can do. Like on the back of my watch, I have a little dot. It's called, it's energy dot. And I wear that all the time. So it's protecting me, it's changing the energy. Now, it's not disabling the EMFs, it's changing the energy. So it can't harm you. It's kind of, so in a way, it's disabling it. But it's not, if you walked around with your little Geiger counter, little like EMF detector, it won't really register the change, but it's changing them from harmful to benign energy fields. And then there's little things like this. It's just a shungite, and you wear it all the time.
So for those of you who are listening on the radio, Elyn is showing some jewelry that she wears. What is that?
It's just a shungite little...
So shungite. So I have a shungite bracelet.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And so you can do that. You can also buy these little pyramids, and I'm showing these crystal embedded mats and pyramids on the show. And I sit on that all day long while I'm working. And this also...
You don't sit on the pyramid, do you?
No, thank you very much. That goes next to my And then, of course, these are the, you could buy any kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're not great, but they do help. You can also, they make all kinds of dots that you can put on the back of your phone. Inside the case is fine. That will protect you. And I have one in my hairdryer. I stick the dot right on the hairdryer. And that changes the energy field for the hairdryer. So then I don't have to worry. And I found that, because they're expensive, like the one I bought was $55 or something like that, or maybe that was for 2 of them. But then if you break your hairdryer, the hairdryer stops working, you say, oh, now what am I going to do? So you don't even you don't have to stick it on. You just put it on with a rubber band. So that in a new hairdryer, you don't have to buy a new dot. You just transfer the dot. I learned that the hard way. So you just don't stick it necessarily on everything, but attach it another way. These are all excellent ways to deal with EMFs.
But how do we know the dots? Because there are a lot of people out there, and this is the problem with alternative health. There's so many people that are saying, oh, that's quackery. That's not real. And I just want to be the devil's advocate here because, there's a lot of people going, what is that dot going to do? How does it change it? How do anybody can give you a dot and say, this is good for you. How do we know that we're picking the right dot?
That's right. And I think when you purchase these, when you look at the research and you see the studies for the particular company, you have to be careful where it's made, right? You have to know whether you can trust these people because anybody can put a study up there. You want to prove something, you can hire a scientist who will prove whatever it is that you need to be proved. And that goes to companies too. It's not just alternative.
Yes.
They can do it. But you have to look at the testimonials. You have to, like the people who are really affected. In other words, they are tremendously ill when they're around EMFs. When you find somebody who says, oh, that really worked for me, it helps. I mean, it helps you to feel more confident. But since we don't know, and we have to put our faith in some of these scientists and some of these that have done tremendous studies and shown why their product works.
Yeah.
I think that everyone should use some of these devices.
Yeah.
Well-researched devices. But I also think that you should eat foods and take certain supplements on a daily basis that also help protect you against.
Okay. So that's
things you should be eating anyway.
Yes.
So the things that you could do are not, I'm not saying you have to go out and eat 20 pounds of broccoli a day, but I'm saying eating broccoli is good for you. So if broccoli can also protect you from EMFs and many other things, why not eat the broccoli, right?
Correct.
But I do think that even for kids, they make these little keychains and you can put it in their backpacks. You've got a kid who's not going to wolf down supplements or eat as many vegetables as you want. You just put it in their backpack. They don't even have to know it's there. No reason to make them feel nervous. It's just a keychain to them. Mm-hmm. On the back of that keychain is the little device, and inside the keychain. So,
well, that's what I want to learn as much because I used to have a Q-Link on my phone, and someone said to me, "Oh, that doesn't do as good a job as this." And so there's so much, even in the world of EMF protection. They're like hitting each other going, I don't know that one, we're better. So how do we protect ourselves so many different ways. And we're going to continue our conversation with Elyn Jacobs, whenyouneedafriend.com worldwide. And off the air, we're going to continue our conversation at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. So join us at any time. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay. So as we are, I've got, I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate here. Oh, there's Dale Bellis. And guess what we're talking about, Dale, today?
Oh, please tell me.
EMFs.
BMFs.
No.
E is in Edward.
E is in Edward. Electro Magnetic Frequency.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Electromagnetic frequency. And I know last time you were on, actually last time Elyn was on, you were on with us as well. I don't know if you remember Elyn.
I had my shades on.
Remember, she had her glasses because she had an eye pressure.
That's right.
That's right.
So really what you're saying about, I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking if you're recovering and doing well.
Yes, I'm perfectly fine.
Yes.
Good.
So really what you're saying about the devil's advocate, I think that is really important because it helps people to know that we're not just blindly accepting both EMFs and these little devices.
Correct.
We are aware of that people are going to doubt this. I don't doubt it because I've seen this is now presented at so many conferences and
Yeah. It's education is key. And so
Yeah.
here's the thing, and I'm going to share this with all of you who are watching on Facebook Live. And I'm so grateful that that Dell has joined us so that he can listen as we go back on the air. You can share some of this if you want to join us, Dale, or if there's a topic that you would like to add when you're on. But when we got a Fitbit, we were so excited. And when I say we, I mean I was really excited. My Fitbit is now like way far away from me. I don't use it anymore.
Good.
And it's unfortunate because, first of all, I think I am like an anti-EMFer. And the reason why is I could not sleep. And I would break, I was on my third or fourth Fitbit because I kept breaking them or they wouldn't register. And I got to the point with my Fitbit, and I don't know if any of you who are watching on Facebook Live can relate to this, but with my, when I had my Fitbit on my arm, if I knew I wasn't being registered a step, I wasn't going to take the step. It got to that point where I was like, I'm not being registered. I am not walking. So, and I couldn't sleep. And then I found out about EMFs. I took off my watch, and all of a sudden I could sleep again. And I rented one of those EMF scans, and I went over to the house, and the biggest hub is in my husband's office. What can you do when you need Wi-Fi and you need all these different things? And he's like in the hub. How is
that's
that
why you have to put these devices, and that's why, like, my husband has the same problem, and my son's bed is on the other side of that. So, he has these in his room.
And what is that? What is that, Elyn?
Pyramid. It's a crystal pyramid. I got mine from a company out in California, wonderful group, and the same mat that I showed you that I sit on, I used to sleep on it. My husband does and my kids do. But I got a rash sleeping on it for some reason. But I have no problem sitting on it. I guess my butt's tougher than my back or something like that, But we do that, and definitely I put those devices on the routers, on the laptops, on the backs of the screens. My kids made their own computers, and it looks like Command Central in their rooms. I've got those everywhere. They're stuck on every piece of equipment in multiple places. And they also, I'm going to talk about this when we get back on the air too, but we have these things called belly blankets that were designed for ladies who are pregnant when they wanted to put their laptop on their lap to protect the baby. So they taped these belly blankets to the side of these huge boxes in their room to deflect the EMFs away from them while they're sitting at their desk.
Well, how many dots do you really need? Is one enough, or does it say this protects you at a certain range? Do they say?
Certain companies tell you how many you will probably need. Like the energy dots seem to be very.
Okay, so this is where I talk about my show, and then I'll reintroduce you, and then Dale, I'll introduce you. Liberty Health Share. Love Liberty Health Share.
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we learn from one another. I am calling my show a classroom because we are learning from wonderful teachers every day, and I'm a student along with you. I'm not the expert. I am the student that is learning. And so I want to encourage all of us to continue to learn, because there are so many things that when we were younger supported us. Like, for example, treat others the way you want to be treated. Not everybody wants to be treated like you want to be treated. So that doesn't support us. When we were little, the world revolved around us. But as adults, that doesn't work anymore. So what will work? How will we be able to embrace what is in our life and be able to just be aware that life is different, and there are a lot of things we don't know. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com and join this movement of taking 100% responsibility. No longer can we blame anybody for the life that we have. Once you know a new truth, you cannot unlearn it. And so dive into it, research it. I do a lot of research before the show, but that doesn't mean that my truth is your truth. Learn about it as well. Research it so that you're not saying Lillian McDermott said, or Elyn Jacobs said, or Del Billis later on. He's coming on with Liberty Health Share, who we just absolutely love having him come on. So make this your truth so that you learn how to live the life that you want. And so with that, please subscribe to the Lillian McDermott radio show at whenyouneedafriend.com. Follow me on Facebook. You get to watch us. You get the behind the scenes, the on and off the air on Facebook. You can go to Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show. Follow me and like me there so that you'll know when we're on. And we're going to be changing the times that we're on in the future. So we're doing pre-recorded shows that are on the air on Facebook Live. So you can join us, learn when we're going to be on. And also follow me on YouTube. So you can click on whenyouneedafriend.com, click on YouTube. And now when you subscribe to my channels, the show is sent to your email. And then you can watch the show whenever you want. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So join us and follow us and like us on all the social media. You can follow us on demand on all the different podcasts, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn. Oh my God, YouTube, as I said before, so many different ways to stay connected. But here's the most important aspect of the show. This show would not happen if it's not for the generosity of my sponsors. And today we have Liberty Health Share, which I talk about them every day. Liberty Health Share is my way. I take my health back. And so with that in mind, please check out my sponsors, on and off the air sponsors, and figure out ways that you can support them the way they're supporting the show. And today, Elyn is our teacher right now, and then later on, Dale is going to join us. But let's continue this conversation about EMFs, because the last thing I want to do, Elyn, is make people fearful of, oh my God, there's so many EMFs. Now I can explain why I have fibromyalgia. Now I can explain why I may not be able to get rid of cancer. Maybe I need to take a look at everything that's happening in my life. So what do you say about that?
Oh, fear is the worst thing. I mean, like I said earlier, we cannot avoid these things, and we can live with them. It's no different than stepping off a curb and being taught to look both ways before you cross the road. Doesn't mean you should be afraid to cross the road. You just have to be careful what you do.
Right, great point.
Same thing about what you choose to eat. Can it hurt you? Maybe. Will it hurt you to live on French fries? Probably. I could prove it to you probably with some studies, but really I can't, because you'd find another study that says that French fries aren't bad for you. So what Lily says, don't just take our word for it. If you go on PubMed, you should, because we're going to talk about all kinds of natural foods here. Well, we have time for a few of them anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can go on PubMed and you can see the studies. You can see the research papers on why, let's say, DIM is a radioprotector. So let's talk about some of those radioprotectors.
Let's do some of the things that we can protect ourselves.
Right. So everybody likes pasta, right? We like tomato sauce, or we like cooked tomatoes, right? So lycopene, which in abundance in cooked tomatoes, is tremendously radioprotective. But there's slightly more actually in the sauce, and it also has the fat, like an oil, olive oil or something like that. So eat cooked tomatoes or take a lycopene supplement. Easy enough to do. Tiny little pill. And it's best to have it before you're exposed. So since you're exposed 24/7, you want to eat these things throughout the day, not just have one pill in the morning and call it a day.
And you're talking about the DIM. You're talking about DIM.
That's lycopene. It really needs to.
Oh, lycopene.
Right before. But DIM, on the other hand, has been proven to work before and after. So it protects, and it also helps to correct. So DIM, most women who are trying to avoid things like tamoxifen, or even if they're not, we'll take DIM 2-3 times a day. Perfect, right? You're getting constant exposure. It's just like eating broccoli. It only stays in your body a couple of hours, so then it's gone. So that's why, again, you want to eat your crucifers throughout the day. ALA is a common supplement. It helps boost glutathione production. That's the master antioxidant. And antioxidants are our first line of defense against EMFs. And that's high in antioxidants. That means minerals, which also help produce glutathione. And minerals such as selenium and zinc are radioprotectors. Blueberries, black raspberries, which are the most anti-inflammatory, even better than curcumin from some studies.
Really? Blackberries?
Yeah, black raspberries. Yeah, and they're very hard to get. So you can buy black raspberry powder, which is delicious in a smoothie or anything else. You can even mix it with maple syrup and put it on your pancakes. Makes it beautiful. I'm about to post on that on my website. I just haven't gotten to hit that push button. But it's wonderful. So blueberries, mint with fresh mint leaves, or drink mint tea.
And not including mojitos.
Well, not really, but I guess if you want to do that, you can
Just
make it.
saying, because people, they put mint in their mojitos. I don't like mojitos.
I don't either. And black tea, even buckwheat. Buckwheat pancakes. Buckwheat is a strong antioxidant, radioprotector. Eat iodine-rich foods. There aren't as many strong studies. I mean, they're linked to like catastrophes. But no harm in eating kale. No harm in eating, again, those different crucifers. Those sprouts, any of those. Melatonin, wonderful radioprotector. And EMFs disrupt sleep, and they also disrupt your ability to antioxidants.
Very
so
good.
By taking melatonin, if you are not a good sleeper or you're not getting to bed by 10 p.m. on a daily basis, melatonin is flowing between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. So take melatonin, start slowly, and make sure you find the optimal dose for you. But melatonin is excellent radio protector.
Very good. Very good. And what I'd like to do now is I'd like to add Del Billis to this conversation, because he's been listening in. And Liberty Health Share, Del Billis is the founder and chairman of Liberty Health Share. And Liberty Health Share is one of my major sponsors. And I'm so grateful every time they come on to share on my show. Thank you so much, Dale, for being on the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Thank you, Lillian, for the opportunity to be here. We're a health-conscious, health-focused group of men, women, and families across the country that are paying each other's medical bills.
Yes.
And so our focus is on improving, maintaining our health. This discussion is critical to that.
Yes.
But we encounter environmental factors that we need to be aware of and protect ourselves against. I would have to say there is a national epidemic of immune deficiency diseases that are occurring at a record level. And it's largely due, I would submit, to our environment, the toxic, and we're talking EMFs today,
Yes.
kind of environment we need to be alert to, aware of, and just simply take conscious actions to protect ourselves from, and therefore protect and improve our health. So applause to you, Lillian, and to Elyn for bringing this kind of discussion to the fore.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who have heard Del Billis in the past, we are talking about, I would like to encourage you, talking about, this new truth. I walked away from insurance almost 3 years ago, and I have never looked back. I am so grateful to Liberty Health Share for giving us this option to be able to take our health back. And for those of you who want to learn more, you can go to libertyhealthshare.org, or you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-58-LIBERTY, or 855-585-4237. And Dale, as you're hearing about these EMFs, and does it kind of like, we're about to go into the break. Maybe we can talk about this off the air. Does it resonate with you and say, oh my gosh, maybe some of the things that I'm surrounding myself could be harming me?
Without a doubt. I was introduced to this issue of the dangers of EMFs about 2 years ago, and it is just alarming to me that there is such a low level public awareness of the impact on our health. And I don't know if Elyn can address what correlations there have been created between EMFs and the unprecedented rise of cancer occurrence in the population.
Absolutely.
And we're going to serious issue.
That's right. And we're going to take this conversation off the air at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. So if you want to join the conversation, come join us. And we're going to be talking off the air. But on the radio, you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. And so please continue our let's continue our conversation. And no, we'll be right here waiting for you. We'll be right here. Okay. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you for keeping us on, Andre. Okay, so go ahead. Let's go ahead and answer that question.
Right. So we know that the EMFs damage the immune system. So it's not just cancer. It's everything. So from a health point of view, we can't afford to just ignore this.
And with 5Gs, Elyn, with 5G coming up,
right?
What's going to happen next?
Right. That's what really spurred a lot of people to jump on that bandwagon. First of all, people producing the products, right? There's been a deluge. You go on the internet, they're all over the internet. So again, be careful there. But people are starting to get very nervous. And again, we don't want fear. We want solutions.
Correct.
So there are solutions out there. And just like eating flaxseed, we didn't talk about that one. That's another fantastic one.
Can you say, you keep breaking up. You keep breaking up. Oh. Is your microphone nearby? Is it breaking up to you, Andre or Dale? Can you, or is it your...
Yes, she's breaking up to me as well.
Okay, so you're breaking up. So if you can get closer to your mic, or I want to hear everything you have to say.
All right, that better?
Yes, go ahead, keep going. Okay.
That's because we moved my computer, so I'm kind of sitting in a weird field here and trying to lean in towards the computer. Anyway, chaga mushroom has something in it. It's called melanine, and it is a fabulous radio protector. So taking chaga mushroom, it's in all mushrooms, but it's particularly in the chaga mushroom. Mm-hmm. See, freshly ground, please. Flaxseed is another tremendous radio protector, and I really recommend that all women eat flaxseed, men too, because it's a modulator, and it's a strong phytoestrogen, so it's going to, step in place of the more harmful estrogens. Not necessarily your own estrogens. I mean, will help for that too, but I don't consider your own estrogens that harmful. But the xenoestrogens out there and the other pollutions, that's what we're worried about. So anyway, that's a side thing. Eat your flaxseed, eat all of these things because there's tremendous studies that say that they help.
So what else can we do? What are some of the devices you had talked about? Jewelry,
right?
Jewelry, the little stickies.
Right. They make earrings. In fact, I remember the first that I heard about this jewelry, and I thought, this is really a hoax. You're telling me I was at a conference, and it was, they have all those vendors. And you're telling me, next thing I know, all the presenters were over there buying the jewelry because they knew about it. Mm-hmm. And they said, I would stake my life on it, and they were buying it. And I said, I'm going to go home and do a little more research before I plunk down money on this stuff. And then I did. I found out there really is something to it. So this is $11. I mean, we're not talking about huge investments here.
But how do you know it's working? How do you know? Do you feel better? Can it be anecdotal? Can it be,
It can be placebo. However, I do know that I slept much better when I'm using the devices. So I'm not one of those people who gets headaches from EMFs. I don't have that problem, but I am a pretty miserable sleeper. But everyone I've talked to and who has tried.
I'm so sorry. Your microphone is still going in and out, though, Elyn. I don't know what's going on.
You can text Lillian or leave her a voicemail.
Okay, when we get back, Dale, I want you to...
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn from one another. Welcome to the classroom with Elyn Jacobs as our teacher, and now joining us is Dale Billis, founder and chairman of Liberty Health Share. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about Liberty Health Share because you're here every other week, Dale, and you're listening to some of these conversation that we're having, and you're so aware how much of this information is being shared with all your members at Liberty Health Share. What are some of the other benefits that Liberty Health Share offers their members?
Sure. Every month we have a newsletter that goes to our members and typically focused on healthy habits, healthy living, steps to take to reduce and minimize medical expense in many cases, but really the encouragement to our health-conscious members to be focused on those steps of action that prevent disease and minimize our exposure to the kinds of, as we're talking this morning, environmental factors
Yes.
that impact our lives. As I said earlier, and I'm just absolutely convinced of this, Lillian, that there are environmental issues that have created an epidemic in America of immune deficiency diseases, of cancers. But we see it happening around us, and we just have to be proactive, engaged, and focused and conscious, because our emphasis is take back the control of your health, exercise your God-given right and freedom to manage and care and direct the care of your health. And that's the who and what we are at Liberty Health Share.
And Liberty Health Share I'm a member of Liberty Health Share, full disclosure, and Liberty Health Share is a sponsor of the show. I reached out to Liberty Health Share because I truly believe that just like, we are given fear about when you have cancer that you must have chemotherapy and radiation, and fear controls everybody. Again, that's how fear is used to manipulate in this industry to get you to do things that you may or may not need to do. No one is chemotherapy deficient. And I compare that to insurance. When I found myself without insurance, I was open to a new truth. And I discovered through an interview that I did, Liberty Health Share, and I thought it was too good to be true, but it reduced the cost of my, what I called health care. It reduced it considerably. And so, Adele, how does Liberty Health Share manage, like if you have a single, it's $300 or $299, a couple is $399, and a family is $529. How does that work for people, and so that they know a little bit more of the benefits of learning the new truth about Liberty Health Share?
There is a fundamental principle that I know better how to control my finance than anyone else.
Sure.
So if I'm in charge of the money associated with the care of my health, I'm far better at managing and controlling that than some third party. That's the flaw, frankly, in our current healthcare system, Lillian, that most people send their money away to a third party, an insurance company or a provider, an employer rather, or the government, and they're the ones in charge of my health, and they're the ones dispensing the money. That separates me from really the motivation, the incentive to control costs. With Liberty Health Share, we're all private pay, direct pay patients, but we're in charge of our health and the costs associated with it. That kind of mentality changes the focus of the discussion at the doctor's office or at the hospital or any other place where I'm consuming healthcare services. I want to know what the costs are. I want to evaluate that expense because it's coming from my pocket and the pockets of my fellow members, and that's just a game changer because it brings back control to the consumer. That's not the case in the third-party payment system.
Yeah, and you give us so many options. And what I love about Liberty, and I have to say, be honest, one of the things I love about Liberty Health Share is how supportive you guys are. So what somebody would call a co-payment or a deductible, are those the two? I've already started forgetting the insurance terminology. So it's a non-shared amount. So
we call it an annual unshared amount. That's the amount we pay as an individual member, whether it's a single, couple, family, and it differs. $1,000 for a single, $1,750 for a couple, $2,250 for a family. That's the amount of money we pay out of our pockets first in the course of our membership year. And then members join in and share 100% of those medical incidents, up to $1 million for every instance. So if I have a heart attack, to take a graphic example,
Yeah.
then I would be responsible as a family for the first $2,250. Members would join in, share that expense, bear that financial load, all the way up to $1 million. If I had kidney stones the next day, another $1 million, a broken arm, another $1 million. And that's proven to be far more than adequate for our members' expenses.
Absolutely. And so because I use it as a single, it was a lot cheaper for me to go with Liberty HealthShare than to be added to my husband's insurance. So I made that decision very early on. And so once I reached my unshared amount of $1,000, then Liberty HealthShare and all the members share on the rest. And so I get a kick when they say, what's your copay? And I said, well, I don't have a copay. I have an unshared amount. So I love this new language that Liberty HealthShare has taught me. So thank you, Dale, for that.
Well, thank you, Lillian. Let me just address for a moment. We were talking about costs a second ago. Got to tell you this quick story.
Yes.
There is, frankly, an unprecedented level of egregious, excessive overbilling in our healthcare system.
Yeah.
And if the money is ours, it motivates us to cut through that overbilling and really get the best price that we can as private pay individuals. And so a member talked to me just 2 days ago that their wife was responsible, or not responsible, but needed a CAT scan with and without contrast to try to diagnose a particular urinary issue. And so they were referred to their local hospital for a CT scan. And as good members, they started shopping it, found out it was $3,200 to the hospital, at a local imaging center, $750 for that same precise test.
Yes.
That's what motivates our members to be cost containment households, because it's our money at stake.
Yes, absolutely. And so for those of you who want to learn more, you can go to whenyounneedafriend.com. You can click on the sponsorship button where Liberty HealthShare is a featured sponsor, and it'll take you straight to their website. Or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org, and start your journey with learning more. You can also call Liberty HealthShare at 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-58-LIBERTY or 855-585-4237. Liberty HealthShare, I love you guys, and I want to do everything I possibly can to promote the heck out of you, because you guys are doing well. You're doing a good job and a good service for all of us, and teaching us that we can take our health back. Thank you, Dale.
God bless you, Lillian. Thanks for that encouragement. It means a lot.
Yes. And the fact that, we are talking about taking care of ourselves and how we can take care of ourselves. Elyn Jacobs, as a cancer coach, how important are EMFs and protection of EMF when it comes to healing the body from cancer?
Well, it's tremendously important because, again, the EMFs are affecting the DNA in our body, right? They're changing our cells. It's promoting inflammation. We know that inflammation is the root cause of most diseases. So if we're trying to heal our body, but we're surrounded by these EMFs without any protection, it's an uphill battle. I mean, it doesn't mean we get there, but it's an impediment. I know we're going to.
Yes. And what we're going to do is we're going to carry this conversation off the air for a few minutes, and we're going to continue to grow together. So please remember, thank you, Dale from Liberty HealthShare, and Elyn Jacobs. You will continue our conversation after. And please remember, this is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
ever.
I love your evers. So this is really good. Dale, I know you probably have
I do. I have a 9 o'clock I've got to go jump on.
Go ahead and jump on it. I'd love to talk to you later on too.
God bless.
Give me a call. Bye.
Right. Bye,
Okay, Elyn. So for those of you who have any questions for Elyn, please feel free to ask now. You can write in the comment section, or if you have a private question that you want to, I can ask her off the air. And so, Elyn, what were you about to show us?
I jumped off before to grab this book. So for people who really want to know what Deborah Davis had to say about EMFs,
okay,
it's a very easy to read book. This was her first book. This is the one I mentioned that sold out.
Disconnect.
By Deborah Days. And she's, scientist, PhD, works in the field. I think she's actually written a second book. I happen to have this one handy. Tremendous information, and it'll give you some confidence that what she's saying is true and that we do have a concern. But again, not a fear, because again, we don't have fear about other things that can hurt us, right? We skateboard, we go skiing, all of these things can hurt us, right?
Yeah.
Jogging can hurt you. Everything has a good side and a bad side. So
Correct.
EMFs, we're not going to stop using our cell phones. We're not going to go live in a cave someplace. But simple little things that we can do every day to promote and to protect our health. I think that, to me, it makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. It
Years
does.
from now, it didn't matter. That's okay. But I certainly don't want to find out 20 years later that there's something I could have done for me or my family, and I didn't do it.
So I was told that there were certain brands that okay, I used the brand earlier, and I that was the brand that I was using, and someone else said, well, what this group is doing is they're capturing it, but it's coming back even stronger. And but no, mine distributes it, changes the EMFs to be easier on the body.
Right.
Have you heard that? That
No, but they're all coming up just like any other competition. They're trying to, mine is better, right? My device is better, and this one can harm you, or my supplement is better than that. That's going to happen. I don't know which device you're talking about, and I'm not sure that we want to.
Nope.
Yeah. So, I haven't really heard that, but again, the way it was explained to me was it's not necessarily getting rid of the EMFs. It's changing the way the energy presents to become less damaging to you.
Less damaging. Okay. So that you can empower us even more. I don't know, like with the supplement industry, there's no regulation, but there is a gold seal, or, where you can get pedigree. There's like something that you can look for, and you say, okay, these have been checked, like they fall under the pharmaceutical where they check batches and things like that. And so there's a seal in vitamins and supplements, even though they're not regulated. With EMF protection, is there a seal you can look for that makes them more valuable than others?
There are some certifications on them, and you never want to buy a product unless they're giving you the actual studies and who did the studies and who paid for the studies. These are important things to look at, because you see some product for $10 on the internet and it says made in China, and you say, well, how do I know that this is anything more than a pretty little sticker?
Yes.
So you really have to go with the companies that have presented and shown it, proven studies. And again, I say, look at the testimonials and make sure that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
And see what they have to say. Like, for some people, they know immediately that their headaches stopped. I don't get headaches, so how would I know? But, I'm very careful that I work with, and there's some doctors promoting various ones, and they've got their name on the line, so they're probably going to give you promote a product that is halfway decent.
Yeah. Right,
because they can't afford to be misrepresenting something.
Mm-hmm.
So have a look at some of those devices, but definitely buyer beware. And
look at the research, go to their website, look at their research, and make sure that you look at everything. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the manufacturer.
And you should. And if they don't respond, you don't buy the product.
Okay. So, and even if they respond, make sure you verify. Trust but verify. Trust but verify. So just so that I just wanted to kind of like wrap this all up. The whole thing is about protection. Now we talked about some of the products that you're using, like cell phone, Wi-Fi, cordless phones. Cordless phones, I heard, are really, really
terrible.
Would you like to talk about cordless phones here a second?
So cordless phones actually can emit, some cordless phones can actually emit more radiation than your actual cell phone. However, I'm surprised that we don't use it, but we have the cordless in our home because we didn't know it 20 years ago when we got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my little reader, and mine is fine. I still won't use it. I will not use it. If I use it, I put it on speaker. Like if I run by and it rings, I'll just hit the speaker and say, I'll pick you up in my office, where I have Princess phone. Because I just in case. But yeah, a cordless phone is a very bad idea, and you don't want that next to your bed either.
Yes. And so other things that you talked about,
LED.
clock radio.
Wait, we didn't talk about LEDs.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about LEDs. Tell us about LEDs.
LED, you got a lamp over your head, right, all day long where you're working, and it's an LED. Strong EMFs come out of LEDs.
What?
That's the thing is
I thought it was okay. I thought
it rid of the light bulbs, so they're forcing you to use the LEDs because they're energy efficient, but they're not good for you. In fact, we're working with an electrician on some lighting expert, and I said the same. I say, why can't we just get a regular bulb light? He said, well, then they're phasing those out. I said, yeah, but this is going to be over my head. I don't want LEDs over my head while I'm reading. And even he admitted, yeah, they're dangerous. So LEDs, yeah. So, but that's why I say, devices are great, but I really want people to invest in food and some supplements. I mean, astragalus is another one that we didn't.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other ones.
Yeah, like we said, the black currants. We talked about green teas. Again, the astragalus. What else didn't I mention? That's really a strong one.
I had to look up astragalus. I had not heard of astragalus before.
Oh, it's so good for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Under high stress. But sulforaphane is one of the things that's especially in broccoli sprouts, really great, because sulforaphane is an anti-cancer agent, and it helps to make glutathione. So does olive oil. These are things that are good for you, right? So why not just eat those? And certainly I think everyone should use sun protection. I think you should have something on your cell phone. I think you should avoid.
Did you see that comment from Andrea? She said, I read keeping your cell phones far away from your body at night can also be a preventative way from EMFs. You probably heard that on the show because we talked about that in the I'm sure you've looked beyond my show, but
yeah, people are using cell phones as alarm clocks, and they're putting them at bedside.
I know.
Sleeping on them, or they're putting headphones on and listening to calming music before they go to bed.
I know.
And they've got a direct line to their brain all night long. And at night, that's when your body is repairing its DNA. So if you're damaging your DNA while your body is trying to repair your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Eating these foods. I mean, who doesn't everybody likes berries, but you can eat berries. But if you don't like to eat berries, those same black raspberries, which are very hard to find in the stores, we can get them at the farmer's market only like 1 or 2 months a year. And they're not so nice looking. But the black raspberry powder you can buy it raw, freeze-dried, and it's so delicious. And you can take it in capsule form. So if you don't want to eat smoothies or something that you would put the powder in, you can put it in water, but that kind of ruins it. It's kind of
you talked about that blackberry powder. That
black
is
raspberry.
Black raspberry.
Black raspberry.
I'm going to go look for that black raspberry powder and put it in my smoothie.
Oh, yeah, it's so delicious. It will turn everything really, really bright color, but that's okay. It's loaded with antioxidants and flavonoids and polyphenols and all these things that do great things for your body. And again, black raspberry is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories out there.
Now, you had mentioned iodine, that iodine was important as well. Can you share a little bit more about iodine and where we can get iodine?
Well, you can buy Lugol's iodine in a little dropper form. Don't go crazy. Start out very slow. They make it in 2% drops, which is what I would recommend, just taking one little 2% drop, because everybody needs iodine. The reason I don't like to talk too much about it is because everybody has a fear of iodine and Hashimoto's, and they're afraid of having too much iodine. So certainly, disclaimer, speak to your doctor, but make sure it's an iodine literate doctor, not one who has fear of iodine, and will also tell you not to eat your cruciferous vegetables. I don't believe that's a true fear. It's a fear created by doctors. That's not an actual fact. But everybody should be eating cruciferous vegetables. Now, nobody should be eating 46 pounds of broccoli a day. So yeah, could it be bad for you? Yeah, it could. You'd be miserable.
Yeah.
But eating broccoli sprouts, eating iodine-rich foods like watercress, these are fantastic for your body.
Brussels sprouts,
cabbage, all of these things are good, and they're iodine rich, and it's not going to, put you over the edge. But again, if you do have thyroid problems, speak with thyroid literate doctor. You can look up Lynn Farrow. She is very vocal on the subject. A tremendous amount of research. Brownstein, there's plenty of experts out there who can talk about iodine till the cows come home. You can read about it in Lynn Farrow's book, The Iodine Crisis. There's plenty of information out there. So really, if you have Hashi or any other thyroid problems, I do recommend you think a little bit outside the box and look into some of the research and to kind of dispel that myth and that harmful attitude of no crucifers.
Absolutely. And for people that would like to get a hold of Elyn Jacobs, you can go to elynjacobs.com and you can learn more about what she is doing. And so I don't know why I've got this thing here on my screen. So I don't know if you could see it, but I'm just popped up. For those of you, so you're still coaching, right, Elyn? You still do coaching for cancer?
Yeah, I definitely coach. I do one-on-one. I do it with phone via Skype, especially for people who are out of the country. Some people like to come to my office, but most people are a little bit too far for that. We have had people travel all the way to New York for it. But yeah, we talk one-on-one. We talk about dispelling the fear, what you can do if you're going to do conventional treatment, what you can do to mitigate the damages of that treatment, make them work better. If you've decided you don't want to do conventional treatment, then we can devise a protocol to complement other therapies that you're doing, make recommendations. We talk about supplements, diet, releasing emotional traumas, pretty much everything that will cover all the different factors in cancer, because cancer is just not one thing.
And I vouch for Elyn. I went through that little scare of mine where they thought that I had a brain tumor or mass or whatever. I reached out to Elyn, and Elyn was so wonderful to calm me down. And of course, I have to practice what I preach. I need to be a self-cleaning oven. And so it was nice to have that calming friend saying, fear is not, that's the way they manipulate. That is not your friend. And whenever you're feeling fearful, no good decision is made from that. And I know we're talking about EMFs, Elyn, and you mentioned this at the beginning, and this is another reason I love about you, is that you're very open about the spirit, mind, body connection when it comes to healing. So yes, we can protect ourselves from all these things, but we also need to deal with childhood traumas and past things that we're just unwilling to look at. What's some advice that you would give to people that my viewing friends that refuse to deal with the emotional aspect of healing?
Right. So when I was diagnosed in 2007, my oncologist told me that something that had happened to me before I was 5 years old was likely the reason that I had breast cancer. And I kind of scratched my head and said, huh? Okay, so I'll forgive anybody who ever did anything wrong to me, and I'll take up yoga. And that didn't work out too well. So I started doing relaxation tapes with music that he provided for me, and it was very calming. So I thought that was good enough. So then when I was re-diagnosed and I ran into my oncologist at a conference, and I said, I think I'm going to go talk to this energy healer over here. And he said, yes, I think you should. As if, duh, it's about time you listen to me, but yeah. I guess I just didn't understand. I thought I was fine. I thought that I worked it all out. So then when I met with that healer, he told me more things about myself than he had any business knowing. I mean, I didn't tell him a word. And then I met 3 other energy healers because I really took heart to what he said. And they all told me the same thing. And I said, I've got some work to do. Yeah. So EFT tapping, psychotherapy, emotion code, biodynamic therapy. I did all kinds of things. And it's amazing. As I got through these layers, how light and happy. I mean, people would say to me, you don't have that stress look anymore. You don't get so upset. You just don't get upset anymore. Mm-hmm. And what we don't realize is that when somebody wrongs you when you're a child, and then someone wrongs you when you're an adult, you react that same way and you recoil inside, and it changes your DNA. And it's you. And so when maybe your husband, you snap at him for something, and he says, "Yeah, what did I do?" but in your mind, it's the same thing that happened to you when you were little. So very important to resolve. And you know, after those 9 months, I had all these tumors that I was addressing with natural means, but when I finished with all this, they were gone. And it's just testimony to how important those things, those emotional traumas can be. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's going to heal everybody out there, but it's one more thing you need to consider in your healing path.
Yeah, healing is a process. And we didn't get sick overnight. And EMFs, you know, there's people that, you know, there are people who drink their entire life and never get cirrhosis. And then there are people who drink for a very short period of time and they get fatty liver disease. So
because
there's
it's other factors.
Yes, there's other factors. And so just because my goal is no fear, it's about love. It's about loving your body. It's about loving yourself and figure out different ways that some of the environmental elements, the emotional elements, whatever it is, and you'll know, like with me, I had that Fitbit because I wanted to figure out why I was having issues sleeping at night. And that was like this big thing. And so when I put the Fitbit on my wrist and I was trying to sleep at night, I couldn't sleep at night. So my Fitbit didn't do me any good. And again, like I said, it became like, okay, I must take a step that must be recorded so that I can beat somebody. And yesterday, Dr. Lee Cowden talked about he called it territorial conflict. And that is, a territorial conflict is what leads to heart disease. And I thought, wow, that resonates. And that territorial conflict can be within yourself. Right. You know, you competing with yourself or you competing with somebody else and not even know it. So Elyn, I am so grateful that as you're coaching people, whether it's cancer or some form of chronic disease, that you're taking everything and like taking that
onion feels.
Yes, everything.
Like peeling the onion, because the mind is more powerful than the body. And it hears everything that you say and everything that you think. So the mind is powerful. The mind is the healer, the mind is the killer. The mind is the killer, the mind is the healer. So you can choose what you want to say to yourself, what you want to say to others, what you want others to hear you say and write. So I leave that with you.
And with that in mind, we will say goodbye because I want Elyn to myself, and I don't know how much longer I get to have her.
And I have to get back to work.
And so I'm going to get off of Facebook and YouTube right now. So say goodbye, Elyn. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for watching today.
Eat your broccoli.
Eat your broccoli. Okay, let me finish the recording. Bye. Oh, share us, like us, and forward this show to help us grow. We'll see you soon.